A century ago, a diagnosis of diabetes was a death sentence. Patients, often children, wasted away, starving as their bodies lost the ability to process sugar. Then came a miracle that changed everything. Section 1, A Shadow in the Early Light, Diabetes Before Insulin. In the quiet, sunlit wards of hospitals a century ago, a profound sadness lingered. Here, families gathered around beds where their loved ones, often children, were slowly fading away. A diagnosis of what was then called sugar sickness was a sentence of inevitable decline. The body, unable to process the very nourishment it was given, began to consume itself. Those afflicted grew impossibly thin, their energy draining away like sand through an hourglass, no matter how much they ate. It was a cruel and mystifying condition, a shadow that fell across countless homes, leaving behind a trail of grief and a sense of utter helplessness. Doctors, with all their knowledge and compassion, were almost powerless against it. They prescribed what they could, most commonly the starvation diet. This was a desperate measure, an attempt to reduce the sugar in the blood by withholding the food that produced it. For a short time, it seemed to work, extending life by a few precious months, perhaps a year, but it was a life of constant hunger and weakness, a hollow existence that only delayed the inevitable. The air in these wards was thick, with a quiet despair, the unspoken understanding that there was no cure, no true hope, only a slow, sorrowful farewell. The collective wish of doctors, parents, and patients was a silent, desperate plea for a miracle. They did not know it then, but in a small, unassuming laboratory far away, the first faint light of that miracle was just beginning to break through the darkness. Section 2, The Dawn of an Idea, a small lab in Toronto. The summer of 1921 was warm and humid in Toronto, Canada. On the campus of the University of Toronto, a laboratory far from grand held a quiet, profound revolution. Two young men dedicated themselves to a singular, audacious idea. Frederick Banting, a surgeon, driven by intuition and an unwavering determination to solve the puzzle of diabetes. Not a renowned scientist, but with a vision he could not ignore. He believed the answer lay hidden within the body itself. Charles Best, a bright, diligent medical student and Banting's assistant, chosen almost by a flip of a coin, he would become indispensable. They worked through sweltering days and into the late hours of the night. Their workspace was simple, rudimentary by today's standards. Basic equipment, meticulous note-taking, endless patient observation. Their quest was overseen by Professor J.J.R. McLeod. Initially skeptical of Banting's proposal, McLeod granted lab space, necessary equipment, and test animals for the summer. He provided the academic foundation and the critical oversight for credibility. Though his role would later be contested, his presence created the framework to test the idea, and so the work began, the air filled with the scents of chemicals and the quiet sounds of scientific pursuit. Banting and Best were not just running an experiment, they were chasing a ghost, a mysterious substance the body produced, believed to hold the key to life for those with diabetes. Section 3, Unlocking the Secret, the Pancreas and Its Promise. At the heart of their investigation was a small, unassuming organ nestled near the stomach, the pancreas. This vital part of our internal world had long been a source of mystery. Scientists knew it produced digestive juices that helped break down food. But Banting had a powerful hunch, inspired by the work of other researchers, that it held another, even more profound secret. He theorized that within the pancreas, in specific clusters of cells, known as the islets of Langerhans, a special substance was created. This substance, he believed, was the key to regulating sugar in the blood. Whenever scientists had tried to extract this mysterious substance from the pancreas, the powerful digestive enzymes also present in the organ would destroy it before it could be isolated. It was like trying to rescue a delicate flower from a forest fire. Banting's simple but brilliant idea was to find a way to stop the digestive part of the pancreas from working, which would then allow him to extract the precious sugar-regulating substance intact. This unknown substance would eventually be named insulin, from the Latin word insula, meaning island, a direct reference to the islets of Langerhans where it is produced. In a healthy body, insulin acts like a key. When we eat, food is broken down into glucose, a type of sugar. The suikersuiker igard al ornaintier. Gauss chairs our bloodstream. Insulin unlocks the doors to our body's cells, allowing the glucose to enter and be used for energy. Without this key, the glucose remains trapped in the blood, building up to dangerous levels while the cells starve. This is the fundamental process of diabetes. The theory was elegant and clear. The task of proving it would require immense patience, painstaking work, and a profound respect for the life they were trying to save. Section 4. The first glimmer of hope. Experiments and breakthroughs. The crucial first tests were conducted on dogs. The process was methodical and difficult. The team would surgically induce diabetes in a dog by removing its pancreas. Blood sugar would rise to fatal levels. The animal would become weak, thirsty, listless, showing the same heartbreaking symptoms as human patients. Could their extract from another animal's pancreas reverse the decline? They prepared their extract, a thick brownish fluid called Insulin. With great care, they injected it into a diabetic dog. Then they watched and waited. Then, something remarkable happened. The dog's dangerously high blood sugar began to fall. It dropped steadily toward a normal range. One collie, Marjorie, became a living symbol of their success. Kept alive for 70 days with regular injections, she transformed from dying into energetic and healthy. She could eat and play, her body again able to use food. For Banting and Best, this was the breakthrough, the first tangible proof their theory was correct. The extract worked. In a bed at Toronto General Hospital lay a 14-year-old boy named Leonard Thompson. He was in the final, desperate stages of type 1 diabetes. His small frame had wasted away until he weighed a mere 65 pounds. His parents had been told to prepare for the inevitable. His family, having exhausted all other options, agreed to let him be the first human to receive the new experimental pancreatic extract. On January 11, 1922, Leonard was given his first injection. Initial results were mixed. Blood sugar dropped slightly, but the impure extract caused a sterile abscess, a painful swelling at the injection site, a setback, not a complete failure. James Collip worked with renewed urgency to improve purification. 12 days later, armed with a much cleaner, more potent extract, they were ready to try again. The second injection marked a turning point. The effect was dramatic and immediate. Leonard's blood sugar plummeted from dangerously high levels to near normal. No significant abscess, no toxic reaction. Days turned into weeks. A quiet miracle unfolded in that hospital room. The boy who had been starving began to regain strength. News of his recovery spread with astonishing speed. It was the confirmation the world had been waiting for. The extract sei Paketient Boxtoit, soon to be called insulin, and worked in humans. It could snatch a child from the edge of death and restore him to health. Leonard lived for another 13 years. His life, a testament to the Toronto lab discovery. In 1923, this recognition was formalized. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, Frederick Banting, John MacLeod. It was a moment of immense honor, but also tinged with controversy. Banting was furious that his young collaborator, Charles Best, had been overlooked. He immediately announced he would share his prize money equally with Best. MacLeod, in turn, announced that he would share his prize money with the biochemist, James Collip. In this way, though only two were named, all four key members of the Toronto team were ultimately recognized. However, the team's most extraordinary act was yet to come. They chose to sell the patent for insulin to the University of Toronto for $1. The patent was signed and handed to the University of Toronto. This selfless act is a cornerstone of the insulin story. By relinquishing their financial rights, the discoverers ensured that no single private entity could hold a monopoly on this life-saving medicine. With the patent secured by the University of Toronto, academia and industry collaborated to scale production. Engineers, chemists, production specialists worked around the clock to transform collapse purification into a reliable, large-scale process. Early on, the source of insulin was the pancreases of cattle and pigs collected from slaughterhouses. It took the pancreases from thousands of animals to produce even a small amount of purified insulin. Letters poured in from doctors and families, each a plea for the new miracle drug. As the first vials shipped in 1923, stories of miraculous recoveries multiplied. Children who were skeletal and comatose were awakened. Adults returned to work and to their families. Companies like Eli Lilly in the United States and Nordisk in Denmark perfected manufacturing, ensuring a consistent and safe supply. The small glass vial, filled with a clear liquid, became a universal symbol of life and renewal. The miracle discovered in a tiny Toronto lab was now a medicine, shipped, prescribed, administered, while squank albing and saving millions from what had once been an inescapable fate. The insulin that saved Leonard Thompson was a crude extract compared to today's sophisticated treatments. The past century is a story of continuous refinement and innovation, turning imperfect therapy into a precise, manageable tool. In the 1980s, a major breakthrough, synthetic human insulin. Using recombinant DNA, scientists programmed bacteria to produce insulin identical to human insulin, eliminating many allergic reactions and inconsistencies. Researchers engineered different insulin types, each with a unique profile. Rapid-acting insulins work within minutes, ideal with meals. Long-acting insulins might release slowly over 24 hours, mimicking baseline production. This variety lets people tailor treatment, creating regimens that match the pancreas' natural rhythms and give greater freedom and control. Delivery methods transformed. The era of boiling glass syringes is over. Discrete insulin pens with ultrafine needles. Insulin pumps. Small, wearable, programmable devices. Continuous glucose monitors. Real-time blood sugar tracking. Paired together, they close the loop, creating an artificial pancreas that adjusts insulin automatically. Today, a diabetes diagnosis is fundamentally different from a century ago. Not a death sentence, a manageable chronic condition. Children with type 1 diabetes grow up to be athletes, scientists, parents, leaders. They can travel, pursue dreams, and live long, vibrant lives. Managing diabetes remains a challenge, but modern tools have turned survival into a sustainable life filled with possibility and promise. The story of insulin is more than just a chapter in a medical textbook. It is a profound narrative about the human spirit, about how curiosity, collaboration, compassion begin in the darkness of a hopeless prognosis and journey into the light of a reclaimed future. The transformation of diabetes from a fatal disease to a manageable condition stands as one of the most significant triumphs in the history of medicine. The legacy of Banting, Best, Collip, MacLeod is not just the vial of medicine, but the millions of lives that have been lived because of it. It is in the laughter of children playing in a park who, a century ago, would not have survived past their diagnosis. It is in the quiet moments of a family dinner, the achievements of a professional career, and the simple, everyday joys that a full life allows. The sale of the patent for $1 echoes through time as a powerful reminder that the greatest discoveries are those that are shared freely for the good of all. Today, as millions of people around the world administer their daily dose of insulin, they participate in this incredible legacy. Each injection is an affirmation of the work that began in that small Toronto lab. It is a connection to Leonard Thompson, to the selfless spirit of the discoverers, and to the generations of scientists who have worked to improve upon their monumental breakthrough. The journey is not over. Challenges of access and affordability remain in many parts of the world, but the fundamental hope that insulin provides is now a permanent part of our world. As we look back on this remarkable story, the most fitting response is one of deep and humble gratitude.